What's going on with Lego modular buildings? Are they changing? Are they becoming too complicated? Or maybe they're just becoming too flashy or even quote unquote extra? Because it definitely seems like in the recent years, they've taken them in a new direction. So hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back, it's Jordan here. Today in this video, I want to take the time to reevaluate the 2026 modular building, which is known as Shopping Street. And then I also want to take a look at the history of the modular building collection. I recently reviewed Shopping Street and it seems like the community has mixed feelings about it. There's a lot of people that love this building and there's a lot of people that can't stand it and think it's one of the worst modular buildings ever made. For example, we can see all sorts of different comments found within the comment section of my review video. A lot of people claim this modular building to be identical to the hotel. Some think it looks like a rebrickable model. Some people really don't like the skinny buildings with a lot of void space, or claim that this is a smaller version of the Assembly Square. And of course, I had sort of a positive outlook on this building because I'm a huge fan of modular buildings, so a lot of people think that my video was more so a paid advertisement than an actual review of the set. Yeah, feel free to check out the comment section of that video because it's very interesting. There are hundreds and hundreds of comments with different opinions about this set, and it's actually a pretty fun read. But looking beyond all of that, I noticed that this video here had a 98.5% like rate. And therefore, that must mean that a lot of people actually like this set. So yeah, I'd like to take the time to reevaluate the Shopping Street modular building now that I've had the chance to read everybody's feedback about the set. Because when I originally built it, I reviewed it the same day. So I did it all in one day. And of course, I did that before it was revealed on the internet. So I didn't really know how the community felt about this set until my review video launched. Also, now I've had the chance to place it in the Lego City and see it beside some of the other modular buildings in the lineup. First off, a little bit of history about me. I've been collecting Lego modular buildings since 2015 when I first started collecting Lego, and they are one of the main core pieces of my collection. They're my favorite Lego sets. Every year I like the modular building. It pretty much is the top selection for me just because they can be integrated into the Lego City. When I first started collecting Lego, I picked up the Detective's Office. That was the first modular building I ever got. Then I can't really remember the order that I picked up the other ones, but it was multiple pet shops, the Parisian restaurant, of course the Palace Cinema, and then on New Year's Day, every year after that, I of course went and picked up the new modular building, whether that be the Brick Bank or the Downtown Diner, Corner Garage, and I was also picking up retired ones during all that as well, such as the Grand Emporium, the Fire Brigade, and the Town Hall, etc. Of course, now I'm a Lego ambassador. So Lego actually sends them to me early to reveal and review, which is like super cool because I get to put them in the Lego City early and I get to review them, which is, you know, it's pretty special. I love that. It's amazing that I'm given that opportunity, and I am forever grateful for that. Because without question, this ongoing series, that being the modular building collection, are amongst my favorite sets of all time. So I have been buying and building and reviewing Lego modular buildings since 2017, essentially. That's when I started my YouTube channel. Maybe the year after I started buying each modular building and reviewing it, so maybe 2018. But one thing I've always noticed about the modular buildings is there's always been a little bit of negativity around the modular because it might not meet everyone's criteria as to what the modular building should be. For example, I remember there being some negativity around the Brick Bank, believe it or not. I also remember there being negativity around the diner, also the Natural History Museum. There was a bunch of negativity around the pet shop, which I understand because like, it wasn't the greatest. I don't think everybody loved the boutique hotel. The only one that there hasn't been a whole lot of negativity around, I think, is actually the Tudor Corner. That was probably one of the more loved modular buildings, which of course was the 2025 modular. One of the major changes that they've made to the modular building collection is the fact that these structures just don't seem to have a set direction anymore. Rather than just being one building on a 32 by 32 base plate, for the most part, they're split into two different structures with many different colors: sand green, red, reddish brown, nougat, white, tan, and dark blue, dark gray, reddish brown, tan, dark tan, white, dark brown, dark orange, dark green, azure, and yellow. Back in the day, we didn't see that, and I don't think everybody is liking that choice. And if we have a look at the modular buildings starting way back in 2007 with Market Street, we're going to notice that the older ones don't have that multi-colored, multi-buildings sort of concept. Well, maybe this one's sort of an exception. It doesn't look that good, but some people actually thought that this one looked better than Shopping Street, which I do not agree with whatsoever. But then we have Cafe Corner, which does have quite a few colors, but I think they all work really well together. You know, you got the dark red, the tan, the reddish brown, with the yellow awning and the hotel side. I think this one's a classic. It's a beauty. It looks great, and you can actually double it up as well. It's funny, they actually show that on the back side of the box. Oh, I wish I had two of those, that's for sure. We've got two boutique hotels, but we definitely don't have two cafe corners. But same with the green grocer here. It's one consistent design, pretty much just a basic color scheme with a consistent direction. It is a grocery store. And of course, the fire brigade, same deal. It is the fire brigade, just standalone. There it is. It is the beautiful fire brigade. Pretty basic design, but it gets the job done. And in 2010, we got the Grand Emporium, same concept. It's just a shopping center, relatively simplistic design, but presents really well and gets the job done. Definitely lacks a good interior. In fact, all of these earlier modular buildings lack an interior, that's for sure. Okay, but then in 2011, they changed the game a bit here. Rather than giving us one modular building, they gave us two modular buildings on 16 by 32 base plates. This is the pet shop. You get the pet shop and the townhouse. I don't think this one was very popular at all, but without question, it's still super clean, it's not a mixed match of colors, and there's a clear direction. And then, of course, we have the Town Hall, which came out in 2012. This one speaks for itself, just a beautiful set, one of the most sought-after modular buildings, I would say. And then, of course, we have the Palace Cinema, which is from 2013. Love this one here. It sort of looks like the Chinese theater, super clean. You look at it, you know exactly what it is. Parisian Restaurant looks really good as well, super popular. You look at it, you know that's a restaurant. Great color theory with this one here. And you can definitely tell that those designs are starting to become more and more elevated as we move throughout the years. Okay, now we have the detective's office. This one here is definitely going a different direction. We've got two different buildings. There's the barber shop, and then there's like the pool and darts room there. And of course, there's the detective's office. And there's a little alleyway in between the two different buildings. And we've got multiple colors with balconies in between as well. So we've got like the blue, the brown, the masonry work. So it's starting to become a little bit more multicolored. But this one here is one of the most sought after modular buildings ever. This thing is super popular. It's one of my favorites because this is where it all began for me. The Brick Bank, it does have two different buildings. There's Soaps and Studs in the Brick Bank. I love it. I think it's got a really good story. I love the way it presents. Okay, Assembly Square. Now we're mixing three buildings onto a 48 stud base plate. So it's not too bad because each building gets its own 16 stud module essentially. And I think the colors sort of work well together here. And it almost looks like each one of those buildings is its own standalone building. But still, it's becoming more colorful. And it's not like one direction. It's not a shopping mall or a fire brigade. It's multiple stores. Okay, now we're like sort of way out in left field. I understand why people were sort of upset about this one here. It doesn't really have a European vibe. This is the Downtown Diner, but it did get back to the single direction. This is a diner. I really liked it because it had like that jukebox feel to it, had a boxing ring, and it had an interesting vehicle with some pretty snazzy minifigures. But this one sort of went a different direction, that's for sure. The corner garage, really nice corner build. Got some good color theory there. Dark orange, the sand blue, white and dark green. It's just one focused structure. Now we have the bookshop, sort of like the pet shop, but you get a bookshop and a townhouse. Two separate structures on 16 by 32 base plates. Now we've got a police station, but what's going on here? It's like a police station in the center and then two little slivers. The sliver on the left in purple is a donut shop. The sliver on the right is just like a little newspaper stand out front and an extension of the police station.
multiple different colors. The facades are at different depths, which is pretty cool. But we're throwing in some more colors now. It's getting more colorful. But I still think the police station really stands out. It is defined right in the center of the building with the dark tan and tan with the dark blue accents. Personally, I'm a fan of the boutique hotel. I love the shape of it. I like the fine art gallery aspect of it, that being like El Cubo, and I think the colors really work well together. Okay, now we've got the jazz club. So we've taken this building and we've split it into two different buildings. There's the pizzeria and the jazz club being the bigger of the two. There's not too many colors, like the building on the right is all yellow, and the building on the left is like the dark azure and dark red, which I think works well together. But then in 2024, they completely changed the direction and sort of went with something old, where they focused on a single structure. The museum. It's just a straight up museum. I've got to say though, the build was pretty simple. There was nothing too crazy about this build here. But they did focus on one direction and it's larger, so there's a bigger facade making it more prominent in the city. The Tudor corner, it's sort of like set up like the brick bank. You know, like it's a corner and then you've got like a little sliver of a building there. I think this is, once again, one of the most well-received modular buildings, but there's definitely a lot of colors here. You've got like that light blue color, the dark green, you got the nougat, the tan, the white, the black, the dark red, a lot of colors mashed into this building, but definitely well-received by the community.
And then, of course, in 2026, we've got Shopping Street, which is split into two different buildings that have unique angles and a bunch of different colors. Now, am I a fan of this concept? Rather than focusing on one direction, like a natural history museum, or a fire brigade, or a grand emporium, or a corner garage, focusing on multiple directions, having multiple structures, and throwing a bunch of different colors into the design, I can't say that I'm a huge fan of it. Am I going to live with it? Yeah. Would I have much rather them make like a nice vintage style hospital, maybe in like white masonry that matches up with the Natural History Museum or the fire brigade or the town hall, and sort of stick with that vibe, things that actually add decent buildings and structures to the city that actually make sense? I would much prefer that, 100%. But is that going to make me think negatively toward this design because they didn't do that? Not really. Do I think it's ridiculous that we got a chair store? Yes, I do. That is ridiculous. We got a chair store in a modular building. The story is fun, how the shop is above and stuff like that. The instrument store is pretty cool too because there's a lot of great mini builds in there that can be used as accessories with your minifigures. But it's ridiculous that we got a chair store in an instrument store. I think they should have made like a post office or a hospital or something that continues expanding the city street with more of like those staple style buildings, museums, police stations, fire brigades, things like that. But it's not really my decision. So can I really change my opinion about this set because they didn't do that? In my opinion, no. And I'm going to tell you right now, there hasn't been a single modular building that I have acquired since 2015, long before I was an ambassador in 2021 or whenever it was, that I haven't liked. I've always read negative things about modular buildings and saw the negative aspect of them, like about the downtown diner and things like that. But I've always been a big fan of them and I've always been excited about them, no matter what they are. But maybe here in 2025, Lego is taking it a little bit too far and trying to do a little bit too much with the design, if that makes sense. Even I have done things to counteract that within the city. You can see that among a lot of my modular buildings. For example, my police station has been converted into a 32 by 32 module that's all one consistent look and style. And I did the exact same thing with its counterparts as well. You can see the City Press and the Donut Shop right there. I also did this with the Jazz Club. I expanded it to 1.5 base plates to make these buildings and their colors more prominent. I also did that with the Boutique Hotel. It's been expanded into a double corner, consuming 2 base plates. And the Birch Bookshop takes up an entire base plate. And I did the exact same thing with the Pet Shop as well. By using 2 sets, I was able to center the entrance and spell out Pet Shop as the store name. And because I have 2 pet and bookshops, I was able to double up the townhouses as well, just by putting 2 of them side by side, which makes them way more prominent. And one of the most recent expansions was done to the town hall. We turned it into a double corner, so we doubled the size of it. So it goes without saying that I evidently am a bigger fan of the less colorful and more prominent structures because I've gone about converting a bunch of mine into that. In fact, we also increased the size of the corner garage, emporium, and brick bank by adding another floor just because I was such a big fan of those designs. And am I a big fan of like smaller, really colorful structures? Not really. I've already like threatened these buildings multiple times saying I'm probably going to get rid of them in the near future and replace them with more prominent basic style structures. And it's funny, Mrs. Bricksie and I were having a conversation about the Natural History Museum the other day, and we came to the conclusion that the build of it actually is pretty basic. For example, we could probably recreate that structure just by referencing a picture. But then shoe on the other foot, there's no way that we would be able to replicate this design with all of the interesting snot work, or studs not on top techniques, and angles. We would not be able to replicate this by simply having a look at the picture. Whereas the Natural History Museum, we probably could. So this building here, from the exterior point of view and the angles within, is far more technically advanced than a lot of the other modular buildings. So after having a few more days with this model, and also after reading all of the feedback in the comment section of my review video, and after placing it in the Lego City, I've got to say that I've got to stick to my guns with my original review. In the thumbnail, I put wow. Why did I put that there? Because when Mrs. Bricksie and I were building this side by side, I kept saying wow to her. I was like, Jose, look at this angle. Look at the way this is coming together. This is crazy. In fact, I wanted to text my old employee, or Simon, who used to work with me here in the shop because he's an engineer, and he was all about building with brackets and working with angles. And I wanted to text him pictures and say, hey, dude, you got to go pick up this modular building because it's like insane. So from that aspect of it, I'm sticking with my guns on my review there. I think the techniques used on the exterior to achieve this look, these angles, this angled walkway, and just the overall exterior design is like next level stuff. Like, it's crazy. Did they maybe throw one or two or three or four too many colors at this thing? Possibly, but I'm not the person sitting there working on this modular building for a year or however long they were working on it and testing all of the different colors with this particular model. So yeah, the exterior and the angles, fantastic. Also, I love the fact that we got all print. There's some new printed elements in here, like the band hat, the shield tile, the chair sail, and many, many more. So the fact that it's all print, that's amazing. The price has gone up, but I think the piece count on this set is higher than your classic modular building. So the price, it's gone up, which is a little bit of a disappointment. It's more expensive than your typical modular building. So that sucks, but it just seems like all the prices seem to be going up. The minifigures, they're not the greatest, okay? The minifigures, not the greatest. The design in the inside, not the greatest either. It's a chair store, you know? They just threw a few chair mini builds in there, which are unique, but definitely could have got a better interior. And also better interior throughout the entire thing. The interior is not too good because I think more so they were focusing on the exterior and achieving these crazy angles. Would I have preferred them to create a giant hospital? that sort of looks similar to my police station or something like that, same size as that, absolutely, that would be killer. I would love for them to do that. I am going to give this set out of a 25 rating. Tips and Bricks does this on their Instagram. They gave it a 20 out of 25, which I think was pretty spot on. They bashed the minifigures a bit, but I'm going to give it a 19 just because I think the value for the money maybe, you know, could be one number lower. A 19 out of 25, which is still pretty good in my opinion. That's still pretty good for a Lego set. And of course, if you don't like this set, that doesn't really like matter to me. Just don't buy it, right? Like if you don't like this modular building, don't buy it. Buy some bricks and pieces and build your own modular building. That's the beauty of Lego, is it's a medium where you can create whatever you want. So if you don't like this modular building, I understand that everyone's excited about this every year, like January 1st every year. It's sort of like a tradition. So it's disappointing if it's not the direction that you wanted it to go, which I understand that's sort of disappointing. But if you don't like it, then just simply don't buy it. Now, when I originally filmed my review, you know, I raved about it. I raved about the angles. I raved about the exterior design. I also said that I'm not a huge fan of the interior because it pretty much lacks it, and I wasn't a fan of the minifigures. I did say that. Of course, I wasn't a negative Nancy because in general in life, I try not to be a negative Nancy. And I've said this before, I don't want to sit there and just be a negative Nancy in all my reviews about everything. I like to come into Lego with a positive outlook and look at this set and say, holy cow, these angles are insane. I've never seen anything like it. It's mind-boggling. It's crazy. And I stick to my guns. I reviewed this set for what I saw it as. If there's something negative that I'm going to say about a set, I'm going to tell you. If I don't like something about a certain set, believe me, I'll tell you. I'll let you know. I'm not going to hold back for any reason. So, yeah. That's my thoughts on it. Lego has definitely gone a different direction with modular buildings as of late. They've divided it into two buildings and thrown a bunch of colors at it. And I don't know if it's the right thing to do. Maybe sticking to the simplistic design like the Fire Brigade, the Natural History Museum, the Grand Emporium, and sticking to one concept would be better received by Lego fans. Because it doesn't seem like this one here is very well received, despite my video having a 98.5% like ratio. Just seems like there's a lot of people that don't like this one and have a negative outlook on it and won't be picking up on the New Year's Day, which is fine. All good, right? But I understand if you're upset because you're looking forward to something different, like a hospital, etc. Now, I haven't gone around and tested it in more locations. I've just left it in the original location where I placed it. It's got lots of different colors, the two different facades, the nice angles, the angled alleyway there, and there's like a divot. So it does provide like a nice texture to the street. So yeah, I still like it for what it is. I think it's good. But just so you know, everybody, if I don't like this set, I'm allowed saying I don't like this set. I don't know if you watched my Holiday Express review, but just because I'm a Lego ambassador doesn't mean I have to love every set and doesn't mean I have to review every single set positively. If I don't like something, I am definitely going to say what I don't like about it and express my concern. Just because I'm a Lego ambassador doesn't mean I have to sit here and lie to you about my thoughts on Lego sets. In general, I'm a huge fan of modular buildings, and I've been a fan of every single modular building ever released, and that is not going to change here in 2026. Now, I don't mean to get deep here, everybody, but I feel like the Lego community has sort of changed a little bit. Not everybody, a very small percentage of it. I don't want to put you all in the same group, and I don't want to single individuals out either, and I don't mean to do that. But I also feel like there's some external factors that have changed the community as well. I think there's a lot more negativity in the community as of late because of the increase in prices and some design mistakes. I personally don't think that this one here is a design mistake, but maybe there's been some design mistakes in the like Lego Star Wars lineup, etc. And I feel like there's just a lot more negativity around reviewing sets now. If I review a set and I say, I love this set, it's so cool, wow, this thing's angles are insane, the interior is lacking, the minifigures are lacking, those aren't very good, but it's very interesting on how they actually constructed this. And then I get told that I'm a sellout. It doesn't make me feel good. Or when Lego issues a new Death Star and I see it for what it is, and I'm like, wow, this Death Star is actually pretty cool. Yes, Lego did send it to me, and I didn't have to fork out $1,300 for that Death Star. But for what it is, I actually thought it was really cool, and I stated that, and I got absolutely reamed out. So it just feels like every time I review a set and give my honest opinions on it, if my opinions don't align with others, then I get absolutely reamed out as of late. And I'll be honest with you, I don't need it. What do you mean? What do I mean by I don't need it? I don't need the sets for free. I don't need to be an ambassador. So I've been giving that a lot of thought. Honestly, over the last 2 years, 3 years, been giving it a lot of thought because it just seems like a repeating pattern of grief within my life. I know me getting free sets is causing grief within my life. I know it truly is because the negativity that it brings to my life. It brings more negativity than positive vibes into my life, believe it or not. So it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't need it. The channel's very diverse, and I feel like I'm not even allowed enjoying sets anymore. I'm not allowed to enjoy sets anymore. I can't build this with my wife and say, wow, look at this. Wow, look at this. This is crazy. And then share my excitement for it anymore. I'm not allowed to do that anymore. I have to be negative about it, which I don't want to do. Because I saw it for what it is, and I thought it was super cool. I did point out some negative things about it. Same with the Death Star. Saw it for what it is, and I was like, this is pretty cool. This is something different, completely different direction. And if something's really bad, once again, that holiday train over there, it's too expensive, I'm going to point it out. But I feel like me trying to be positive about Lego in my reviews is bringing so much grief to my life. Isn't that a crazy statement? What has changed? What, right? I've been doing this for years, and it really seems like the culture around Lego sets and that on the internet has just got a little bit toxic. It's really sad to say, and I truly don't need this grief in my life. I truly don't need these sets for free to survive. I don't even need to review sets to survive. I can simply build my Lego city, talk to my kids on my phone who are calling me right now because it's their bedtime. I'm working here late at night, so I'll be right back. Oh, but for real, everybody, I'm just trying to chill, build some Lego, have a good time at the city, review some Lego sets, film some vlogs, just have a good time, let's all chill out on the negativity a little bit, seriously. And if Lego messes up some designs, I get it, not everything's going to be designed perfectly how we want it. A lot of things are probably going to be too expensive. And if they are, I'm going to state those things. I'm going to state my opinion as best I can and can really say whatever I want about these products. But just note, I am giving it some thought because, I don't know, man, there's just a negative space around it. For some reason, I don't know if it's just on my channel or what, but I don't know. It's just some days I just get this massive headache over this stuff. It's taking its toll, man. I don't know. Let's just go there on January 1st and buy the bloody set. I really don't need it early to review and reveal. It's all my channel doesn't rely on it, and I can say whatever I want about it. And maybe that's a way that I can get rid of some grief in my life. It's just honestly my thoughts at this point. Crazy. All right. Have a good one. Sorry for the ramble. Peace out.